Your thing intrigues me a whole nother way, because like when I watch yours, I sort of feel like it has a vintageness. That kind of touches you in a way. You connect with it if you have film of you or have seen film from the 60s, 70s. There's something great about the film thing.
I ask my clients all the time is whether or not they have old Super 8 of their parents' wedding. I've done a couple jobs where they have, and I've retransferred it for them. A lot of times I'll study the way that their parents' home movie was shot, and I'll actually try and recreate it shot for shot in certain parts, whether it's a receiving line, coming out of the church, things like that. I had a bride who wore her mother's dress. They had this phenomenal Super 8 and Kodachrome from 1962. I did a side-by-side comparison of, 2003 versus 1962. And it was really powerful. Super 8 has really made a resurgence, and I think it's wonderful because it really was starting to become this dying medium. There's something to today's bride, especially the bride that's in her 20s, that really wants something eclectic and vintage inspired. Some brides don't like it. It's totally just a personal preference. With the 20s bride, they have all of their home movies on video.
Yeah, right, exactly,
so
yeah.
Film, Super 8, is something that's really a novelty to them. It's
Right.
something that they go, wow, this is like Wonder Years. I hear that all the time.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine that if you said, well, now I do a film thing versus a video thing, they're going to be like, I don't know. I mean, half the guys in our business now who are in their 20s don't even know the difference.
The wedding planners do.
Yeah, they are. You've got the same range where you have people that are shooting Super 8, but they're shooting it like it's a home movie and it looks like crap, and it's just this whole
Well, some of that's kind of cool too, if you do it right,
But again, that's where the storytelling comes in, is that, and just not being predictable. And I think it's really exciting because there's so many different types of wedding filmmaker. You've got organizations like Viva, you've got Reframe, you've got seminars and things like that. You've got the DSLR cameras with the 5D. We're really able to take over and be able to have a really cinematic eye, I think, like never before with wedding videography.
I find it really exciting to find a videographer who's never had any professional training. He just got the camera, went out, started experimenting with it, and they're producing cool stuff. They don't even know what the rule of thirds, what IRE is or anything like that, but they've been inspired and they've got the bug and they've discovered something that they can make really, really cool. Not that they couldn't do better with a little film training or a little business training, but I've seen several of them that have been able to notch out their own little boutique business that have a huge following and they're keeping busy. And if you look at some of their raw footage, you go, oh my goodness, how are they able to do this? But they've been able to do it. I find that pretty inspiring, that this is a type of career that if you're motivated and driven, you can make a living at this and you can produce cool stuff.
Well, that's kind of the American dream business, that if you're motivated and if you get out there and market yourself, you can succeed at it.
Well, I started back in 1986. There really wasn't any training available for people like us. So the photographer had been around for a few generations. I figured I'll just follow him and shoot whatever he shoots, assuming he knows more. Well, none of them talked to me. They were just ignoring me and they weren't happy. And one day this photographer turns to me during a formal posing. He goes, is this good video? Maybe it's not. And so the very next wedding, I worked completely opposite. When he's posing the guys, I'm out hanging with the bride and the bridesmaids. When he goes and has the bridesmaids put all the flowers on the dress, I'm hanging out with the guys and they got flask of alcohol and they're joking about who's the best man and everything. It was like, oh, this came alive. This is like a cool product without the photographer. Well, that photographer happened to be president of the photographers group and he invited me to the local meeting, had me sign on as a member, introduced me to everybody. I spoke at an upcoming meeting. They elected me to the board. I became president of the local photographers group. And then 12 years ago, I was president of Professional Photographers of California. And it was the largest group in the nation, and I was the only non-photographer president. We had some really cool experiences.
Do you feel like you're getting the respect of a photographer? He is the guy that's like the artist.
That's what people think of with wedding videography, is kind of this weird, I don't know if it's a sect or subculture of people that are like the big sweaty video guy that, or like, the, with the keys dangling and,
well, you've totally shattered that image, haven't you?
I'm the sweaty video lady.
I think it's different now. Is it different?
I think it depends on the clients. I had a client this year and they had the photographers or like praise the photographers and I was like the video guy in the back to like, hey, can you get the video guy or, But most of my couples, they love my work and they find me because of that. And I actually get booked before the photographer does so that I can recommend who I want to shoot with.
Oh, wow.
Which is awesome. And then the day of, it's like they don't really care too much about the photographer. It's more, where's Joe? I don't want to, we're gonna get these cool shots over here or do this.
I have that happen a lot as well. They really like what you do, and so they're very excited about it. A lot of times they're asking me which photographer I would refer, whose work I like, who do I like working with. I think couples now are much more aware of the fact that it's a dynamic, a team effort between videography and photography. For me, I have a core group of different photographers throughout the country that I really enjoy working with. So I tend to surround myself with those people because we have a great dynamic. And we really kind of feed off each other, and it's a creative process and it's a team. And I think that that's where the days of like this whole brawl between photographers and wedding videographers, I'm hoping that it's starting to be over. And with cameras like the 5D, it's really blurring the lines because you've got two people with the same camera.
Are you ever snapping photos?
I'm not.
I do sometimes when I had the client say, photographer's not here, you just take the photos.
Do they know that you can even do that?
They see the camera, so they assume I can. And I was like, I guess I'll do that for you. It's not my job.
Wow.
I mean, we already have that problem where we're shooting even with our video cameras, and people pose and they say cheese, and you're like, it's moving picture, And
People have had that problem.
I always have fun with that.
You never have a problem with the Super 8 with that. They know that.
No, with the Super 8, and see, that's the difference too, is that with Super 8, with 16, they hear that sound and they go, oh, that reminds me of, my dad, or that reminds me of
That's a
my
movie.
grandparents.
That
And
your brain
that's
says, movie.
And they immediately go, that's okay. It's okay for you to film me because it's something that's nostalgic that they remember from childhood. Or the older guys think it's fun and they kind of crowd around you and, want to play with the camera. We're so inundated with reality television and kind of what I call schmuck TV. It's one of those things when you have a video camera at a wedding, people feel like they're on TMZ. Especially, I work a lot in the LA market and work a lot where I've got some young Hollywood that are at my parties every once in a while. You have to be in camo, in a tree. They know your lens. And so it really makes the job hard because you want to be able to create these moments and capture this like wonderful atmosphere, and people are just really aware of the camera. But when you've got like the Super 8 and the 16, they're much more flexible.
Well, I think even now, like with the 5D, I shot a wedding last night, and I had like a 51.4 on, and I was in the reception. I can shoot with no light and stand back, even with the 70 to 200, and you can get all these candid shots because you don't have a light on. You have a smaller camera, no one knows what's happening.
Right.
So you can capture those moments.
People really don't know what to do. Like when somebody flips the camera on me, I'm like, you just don't know what to do. Like when I go back to those films that my grandfather shot in 1939, every shot is a group of people walking towards the camera. I said to him one time, why is everybody we didn't know what to do. So obviously the candid to me is the best, where you can zoom in and get a moment.
It's awesome. I think with today's HD cameras, everything has to have a light on it, especially when you get in any reception section or anything after dark. Getting those candids has been huge with the 5D now.
It's going to change the way we do things, I think.
Whether it's a wedding or whether it's a short film or whatever, it really is changing our expectation level as far as what is great filmmaking.
Right, and they had none of this was in their mind when they were making this. I've talked to people at Canon.
Really?
This was meant for journalists. Get me some pictures and some video. That's what that camera was made for. And then all of a sudden, people are like, no, we wanted to do 24p and this and that, and they're just like, what?
Manual controls, what?
Yeah.
It's something better than reference audio.
Yeah, the audio's not fabulous, I'll give you that. But again, not really that necessary for just documenting.
Yeah, there's other ways to record audio, and run it through an H4 or something,
Well, yeah, but I don't think they envisioned that. I think they were hoping that it would be just good enough. They're probably telling people, get close to the action,